What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood hit theaters, the ninth film from Quentin Tarantino, coming off of Hateful Eight. This one is a movie in which it is very slow burn, where the end of the film is so crazy that it for me made up for the slowness of the first 2 hours of this 2 hour and 40-minute film. In a weird way. Like, coming out of the film, I was happy that I saw it. During the movie, it was during the first 2 hours where there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of comedy in the first 2 hours. There's some great character moments. There's some kind of great things in the first 2 hours. It's just trying to figure out where this is going. And I was starting to get worried, probably around close to the 2 hour mark. Like, is this just going to be like some, I didn't want it to end like a lot of independent movies end, where it's kind of vague. You're only getting this slice of life kind of a thing. But the end of this film is not like that. There is a huge explosive kind of moment that happens at the end of this film that really pays off in a lot of ways. The overall structure of the film, I would say, is similar to like an M. Night Shyamalan. If you were going to take like the kind of how M. Night Shyamalan has a big twist at the end that kind of makes you recontextualize everything that happened before. This is kind of the Tarantino, which he kind of experimented with that a little bit in the Inglourious Bastards, where it's kind of this alternate universe, where it's not historically correct. This movie takes place in Hollywood, 1969, around the time of Charles Manson. The trailer, which I wish I hadn't seen, plays up the Charles Manson side. I mean, this movie's not about Charles Manson, but it's a story about the actor Rick Dalton and his stunt guy, and during kind of the low or the beginning of the skid, or just after the skid of Rick Dalton's career, similar to like episode of Entourage. Like, if you were to imagine Entourage, the TV show, written and directed by Quentin Tarantino in a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, you could almost, like, this would almost be like that in a lot of ways. Rick Dalton, very much like the Vince character, where he's the star that, he's kind of having some, there were moments in the Entourage, I know, that Vince wasn't doing so great. And Brad Pitt kind of plays the turtle character, where he drives him around, he does chores around the house, because he's not being used as much as a stuntman. He's kind of picking up odd jobs here and there just to help out Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton. So all of those things, but after the end of the movie made everything in my memory that happened in the movie before that, like, I would look back on it and almost made the movie better. It's weird. Every hour after I had watched the movie, I came out of the movie liking it, not sure exactly how much I loved it, where I would necessarily stack it on the list of Quentin Tarantino films, which I don't know where this would go. I think I'm going to go rewatch this Monday. I'm recording this Sunday, so tomorrow. Looking forward to rewatching it, knowing where it goes. But there are a lot of amazing moments that happen throughout the slower parts of this movie, where you're seeing Leonardo DiCaprio, probably one of his best performances. He's playing this actor like who's really insecure, and is able to turn it up when he's doing his acting. So the performance of Leo playing an actor who's very insecure and kind of has this stutter, going into like him being like actually being an actor. Like, it's layers of amazing acting that Leonardo DiCaprio is doing. And you get to see this arc of this character where he's able to almost pull himself out of the slump, the skid that he's in as an actor, and kind of fall in love with the art of acting. And then Brad Pitt as being, the stunt guy, this kind of just man's man who at the end of the film is able to kind of understand and fulfill his alpha maleness, and which the end, there's a scene, let's just say, where Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt's character, faces off with the devil. And I think that scene is just kind of an epic. It's going to be an epic, just kind of classic scene. The end of this movie is so, like, after watching the end of this movie, where it has the kind of M. Night Shyamalan kind of alternate reality ending to this movie, makes me love the slow, just methodical introduction to this world, to all these characters, and it pays it off in a way that I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting. Now, I'm not super familiar with Charles Manson, the Sharon Tate, kind of the companion history that's going alongside this movie, where it's basically these two characters and they're brushing up against this moment in history. This Charles Manson and Sharon Tate. So it's an interesting way to kind of tell that story without telling that story, because the end of the movie moves away from what actually happened in history and into the alternate reality kind of hyper violence, which you could definitely see Tarantino's appreciation for his friend who did all the Hostel movies, where it's kind of that torture porn, and you kind of saw it in Hateful Eight. You kind of saw it in Inglourious Bastards. You've seen kind of this hyper violence, skulls getting crushed in. Reminded me a little bit of Midsummer in a way, but it adds to kind of the insanity of how this movie ends. And man, overall, I really love this movie. I think, I don't know, it's weird how the movie is slowly, the idea of everything in the movie, it's slowly like bubbling up, getting higher and higher in my list of Tarantino movies. There's narration in it, which I'm not a real fan of. Tarantino getting into this whole narrator stuff that happens, 2/3 of the way in, where he's kind of catching you up before the whole. He did a similar thing in Hateful Eight. It's weird to see his kind of growth and things that he's added to his repertoire, his tools over the years, as he's gone and made these different movies and been able to have kind of a pure vision for his movies, because he writes and directs them all. You can really see he's able to do what he wants to do and doesn't, I would imagine, get a lot of producers telling him things. So you're really getting to see a very unique storyteller doing his work. And this movie, because it's set in '69, is so much like the MCU for like the elderly. Yeah, I'm watching this movie with old people, and they would not shut up about every single thing that they noticed. An advertisement in the background, a building, a thing, like all of this stuff. But it's just amazing. I can't wait to watch it again. Highly recommend watching it. Probably one of my favorite movies, my favorite movie of the year so far. Definitely. But go watch it. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out daily. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go buy my artwork over at inspireddisorder.com and save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!